This episode of Desert of the Real is a little bit different because we just walked out of the movie theater and this is just our conversation where we talk about all the things we liked and didn't like. So it does include spoilers, and we're not really looking at the ethics and philosophy so much as just our collective thoughts immediately after. Anyway, enjoy the episode.
Welcome to the Desert of the Real.
Welcome to the Desert of the Real bonus episode. I'm your host, Ryan Hudson, and I am not joined with Jason Dietz today. In fact, I have two guests. You may know one. She's been a guest star before, but there's a new guest today, and we're going to talk about Deadpool and Wolverine. So usually, we attempt to explore the creativity, philosophy, film studies, and ethics of our movies, and we try to push you, the listener, to think critically about your movie. But we just saw a movie. We haven't had time to think about it, formulate thoughts, because we just walked out of the movie theater, basically. But I am joined with two people. You want to introduce yourselves?
I'm Christy Hudson. I am Ryan's sister. I've been on the podcast before we're talking about Avengers Age of Ultron.
And I am Logan Lindholm. I am one of Ryan's friends. I've known Ryan forever.
That's true.
So yeah, and so I'm really excited to be...
Same.
That's also true.
I've known Ryan my entire life.
And I have known Ryan 6 years less than that. So yeah, I'm really excited to be on the podcast. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Anyway, I'm really excited to talk about this movie.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the only Marvel movie coming out this year.
They've really pared down.
Yeah, because I talked about this, Jason, but they've put so much in Marvel, like, the last few years, since
in terms
Disney
of
Plus.
quantity.
Yeah, exactly. And this movie, brings it up, actually.
They've thrown money at it, is the right...
Yes.
Yeah, they've wanted to churn out a lot and put a lot of money into it. It doesn't tell you a lot about how good the things have been.
So this will be a spoiler-filled special, but before we get to spoilers, what can we say that's not a spoiler about Deadpool and Wolverine?
I really enjoyed the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know, we are fresh out. We're still kind of wrapping our minds around things.
A lot of our friends will, immediately get on Letterboxd as soon as they see a movie and put a rating up. Mm-hmm. Sometimes a review, and I'm like, I gotta sit with a movie for a little while after I've seen it.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about it immediately. Sometimes I'll think about it and be like, you know what, that was awesome, or that was hilarious. And sometimes I'll be like,
sometimes you know right away.
Yeah, sometimes you know right away if it was a really special one. But in general, I have to sit with the movie before I really decide how I feel about it.
Well, and for me, usually I can jump into it pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. At least in terms of whether I like the movie or not.
Yeah, that much is usually pretty immediate.
Pretty true. But so I guess I'm with you then. Then I have to really think about it, to let it sit with it, to really analyze it.
So I have a question for you two. Do you guys go into a movie thinking, this movie is perfect as far as I know, until I see things that either aren't good, so then it kind of lowers? Or do you go in kind of this movie is nothing, it has to win itself to me type of thing? Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's an interesting question, because I don't know if I really fit either category, because when there are movies coming out that if I see a trailer, I'm like, that looks like it could be good. Mm-hmm. But then I have tried to avoid any information, including further trailers that might spoil something. I avoid reviews. I don't want to hear people's opinion, because if I hear people's opinion, it'll turn me off to something.
Yeah.
And so I prefer to go in as blind as possible. I've discovered that is my favorite movie viewing experience, is if I know as little as possible.
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat there. I like to go in as blind as possible, but I'll watch more trailers than either of you will.
Mm-hmm. I only watched the first one for this movie.
I mean, I think I watched 3 trailers.
There is a lot, and
There was a lot of trailers for this movie. I don't feel like the movie necessarily has to win me over. I just have to enjoy the ride.
yeah,
And if I find a moment somewhere in the movie that makes me stop and say, that's a bridge too far, yeah.
because in my film class, I make everyone like write their review, like why they liked or didn't like it, but they cannot say it's bad and that's it. Like they need to explain what they liked, didn't like about it, to try to help them think critically, type of thing. So I like give them, think of these 5 tools. Like if you don't know what to write about, think about these 5 things: the dialogue, the acting, the cinematography, the sound, music, and like the mise en scène. What did it look like? What's the stuff in there? Anyway, so Deadpool and Wolverine. Who can give us a summary that does not give away anything?
Oh, no one.
I don't know if you can.
Yeah, I don't think...
I
don't
mean,
know.
that's the fact that, like, Wolverine is in it is, like, that would be a spoiler, except that they just acknowledge it immediately and are not going to try to hide it. But then everything else about it is a spoiler. I can't think of anything that they do from the very beginning that wouldn't be a spoiler.
That's actually a good point.
Yeah.
That's true. I think that I can give a little bit of a spoiler-free plot line. Mm-hmm. Essentially, it's... Deadpool, this is his experience with the Time Variance Authority.
Yeah.
So he has to find a Wolverine to help him work through the problems that he is facing.
Yeah. He needs a Wolverine to go on an adventure.
yeah. I mean, and you know what? And even then, that's pretty much just in the title, too. It's like...
Yeah.
I think from here on out, we have nothing else to talk about besides spoiler things. So if you want to go in as clean as a whistle...
Which we recommend. We strongly recommend you see the movie before you view any spoilers.
We recommend not even listening to this
or even hearing other people's opinions.
Yeah.
I think. Don't listen to people's opinions.
I think
So at this point, if you are listening to this special episode, I would stop it, go watch the movie, and then come back and listen from here.
Yeah, come back, and then give us a like, and then a review, and a share, whatever you want.
Follow if you're not already following.
Well, yeah, on all the different podcasts. Anyway, so...
Here we go.
Because we're going to talk through things.
Yep.
We'll get to it later on, but there is one major problem it has, in my opinion. But I want to kind of build to that, because there's so many good things.
There's lots of good things.
There's so many things that I really liked that made me happy.
Can we start with the dialogue?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the dialogue was so clever. Of course, it was classic Deadpool, but it really spoke to the fact that Deadpool is a character that breaks the fourth wall constantly, and that's been one of the strong points of this series.
It actually clicked because I was rewatching Deadpool 2 before this.
I needed to do that, but I didn't.
And I don't know if I heard this, but Deadpool works because Deadpool, the character, is a fan of Deadpool the comics. It's not like, clever reference here and there. No, Deadpool loves the comics. He loves seeing cameos himself. He loves being in a comic book. That's like kind of the secret sauce.
Yeah, and I think that's also true of Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
I mean, because like it's clear he talks about. Oh, I feel like I've heard him somewhere recently where he's like, oh, it was in
the credits.
It was in the credits. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
No, I was
Where did I hear that?
There's something I heard recently.
It
Hold
was
on.
so-
Where was it? No, and he talks about it in the credits of the movie, which is great. They're having this farewell to Fox.
Yeah, and
It's really beautiful.
The
actually.
version of the X-Men and the Fantastic Four that were
and
that
Fan
were
Stick.
Fox, and they even included Fan
and
Stick
Elektra.
and
Elektra.
Elektra. Everything that Fox did in the superheroes.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
was really awesome.
It was
Anyway,
nice.
a bit of an interview that Ryan Reynolds did when they were working on X-Men Origins,
yeah.
Wolverine, and it ended up being really interesting and really spoke to his love of Deadpool.
Mm-hmm. He's loved the character, and then the famous story of how the first movie got made. They made that test footage, like basically the first opening scene for the first movie,
Which is
and
so solid, by the way.
got leaked in quotes. Then fans demanded it. Fox was like, I don't know. Here's like the minimum amount of money to make a movie like this,
And then they did a killer movie,
yeah,
It's
exactly.
so good.
in my opinion.
No.
I love the first scene of the
first one.
movie.
Oh, yeah.
And that's something I was kind of saying to our friend of the podcast, Donald, who just saw the movie with us.
Yeah, Donald was there too.
He was there, but he couldn't be here to record.
Yeah, he had to
but
go.
we were talking about it because we sure miss you, guy. Because he just watched the first two for the first time. So he's watched all of them just now in the last 48 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so since you just saw all of them, which is the best? He's like, oh, first one, hands down. And so we were talking about it a little bit, and it's like, there's definitely something in this. I enjoyed this one, to be clear, but like there was some elements missing, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And
I had the same kind of feeling.
But it was so enjoyable still, for sure. Like, that's not what it is. But it's just, there was something so charming, I think, maybe because the first one is a lot of people's, including myself, like, our introduction to the character of Deadpool. I didn't really know anything about it. But I was really excited about that movie when it was hitting theaters.
Oh.
So I went to see it. But I didn't know I knew that he broke the fourth wall. I knew that he, swore a lot and had a lot of jokes, fast talking.
And in fact, for me, I didn't like the character for a long time. Because I haven't always been a big fan of his creator, Rob Liefeld.
You've been a fan of?
I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't. At least not in terms of his art. But anyway,
because Logan here is a true comics fan. He not only he knows a lot, but he's read a lot.
Yeah, I collect quite a bit.
Yeah, I think there's.
I know more DC than I know Marvel, I'll be perfectly honest there.
But still, you've read a lot of comics, properly, type of thing. You bought one tonight at the movie theater.
I did, and it's actually, for those of you who have watched X-Men 97, the scene where Magneto pulls the adamantium out of Wolverine. Yeah, no, I bought that comic. The original Rob Liefeld run of X-Men. I'm a collector, I love it.
Deadpool and Wolverine, it kind of comes... Ryan Reynolds has kind of attached himself to Sean Levy.
Levy, I think.
Is it Levy? Sean Levy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
And film Twitter hates this guy.
Let's get into that, because I don't know that.
Because Sean Levy, he I don't know. He directed Real Steel, so it's like a kind of coming back with Hugh Jackman. Yeah. He did Night at the Museums. That was his first big thing, I guess.
Oh, and Night at the Museum.
Night at the Museums were
hold on.
The dozen with.
I'm going back farther and farther and keep seeing movies that people actually know about besides TV shows. Because he did Cheaper by the Dozen.
The one with Steve Martin in 2003?
2003. Then the Steve Martin Pink Panther. So Steve Martin's like, yeah, I'll do your movie too.
I didn't grow up with the original Pink Panther, so I actually really liked the Steve Martin Pink Panther.
Well, you're wrong. But then he did Night of the Museum, the first two. So he's got a filmography of movies people have seen.
Yeah, people recognize, not just random movies that own a handful have seen.
And a lot of people like these movies, but because of his recent movies, he's attached himself to Ryan Reynolds. He has Free Guy, Adam Project,
and now Deadpool.
Deadpool. But for some reason, if it's Sean Levy attached, it's not going to be high quality type of thing.
Okay, here's the irony of that, because the thing that you hadn't mentioned yet that he had a hand in was Stranger Things. Not just the last seasons, but from the very beginning, he was the one who it crossed his desk and he said, this has to be made, I want to be a part of it, let me meet with these guys who wrote this show.
I had no idea about that.
And he'll be directing a few episodes next season.
He's produced it always, and he's also always directed a few episodes in each season so far.
And Stranger Things,
and especially
I love Stranger Things.
It's become, people's opinions have wavered a bit. Some people, this season's not very good. But the first season's amazing.
First season's lightning in a bottle.
The first season.
Oh, absolutely.
That's true. Yeah.
What I think it comes from is when Sean Levy did Free Guy, I think people just associated Free Guy, the movie, with everything wrong with Hollywood. For better or worse. This is just mindless IP that you get member berries from. He's holding a lightsaber. He's holding the weapon from Fortnite. There's Captain America and his shield type of thing. It's it
was just a bunch of references to other stuff.
And somehow
I think that there was at least a little bit of a deeper message.
And then with the Adam Project, a Netflix movie, sometimes these Netflix movies, for, maybe the movie doesn't get into theaters for whatever reason, but Netflix has it. Sometimes these Netflix movies are just like, critics are like, this is like antithesis of like cinema to some degree. Like, it's made by an algorithm type of thing. Everything about this movie is to get the highest, I'm not saying that's true, but for whatever reason, Sean Levy gets a bad rap online because of these last few movies with Ryan Reynolds. So now it's like, now that we've seen his latest movie in theaters, that's kind of, is it going to save the MCU? Is the MCU needing to be saved type of thing?
Yeah, it is.
But do I think that this is the movie that's going to save the MCU? I don't think so.
I think it depends where they go from here, actually.
I agree with that, too.
It could be the first step, but I think it just depends what they do next.
I expected them to lead to something to latch onto, but it kind of felt like the last few MCU movies where it's like, this is just a kind of a feeling standalone adventure that doesn't connect to the bigger world, which Marvel used to do. At least by the end of the movie, like, oh yeah, well, get right, like, buckle up. The next one, you can't wait to see.
Well, and I know that Marvel's been having kind of a rocky go with some things.
Hang on, I really haven't watched the new MCU movies for a few reasons, except for this one. And there were actually a few things that I was like, I wonder if I'm missing something because I haven't seen the last few movies. Or shows. Not just movies, but shows. Because I don't have Disney Plus, and I don't want to get a subscription to Disney Plus.
Because this one kind of ties into Loki.
Loki season 1 I did see, but don't remember super well, is the thing.
Yeah, well, and the thing
is, I knew the whole TV, like, I know what the TVA is. Is that what it is? TVA. So, I know what that is, and so I wasn't lost there.
Yeah.
But
without spoiling the season 2 for you, I'm glad they didn't mess with Loki season 2.
Yeah.
Because it's a really nice thing.
I've heard the second season's really good.
You should
really
see the second
good.
season. But I will say, just knowing what the TVA is, I think for Deadpool and Wolverine is enough.
Yeah, I would agree with that because I did just see it.
They mentioned the cloud thing, and Deadpool's like, oh, from Loki season 1, episode 5?
Honestly, to be honest, though, I knew that it was referencing Loki, but to have someone say exactly what was being referenced helps a little bit to be like, am I supposed to know this? And then it's like, I guess I am, even if I don't remember Loki season 1, episode 5. Wait, but okay, real quick about the Sean Levy thing, because I just saw him interview for this movie on Jimmy Fallon, I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah.
Because, talking about this movie, but he tells a story that Hugh Jackman did Real Steel with him way back when, and Hugh Jackman said if you ever do a movie with Ryan Reynolds, you'll never stop doing movies with Ryan Reynolds.
That's what's happened.
They're kindred spirits. A lot of people are like, oh, it's like a one-trick pony. He just keeps using the same actors over and over again. But the fact is, I think it seems like they've all become friends who enjoy really working together. And so I enjoyed Free Guy. It's okay that there's critiques of it, but as a movie, I thought it was enjoyable. I actually really liked The Adam Project. I don't think it felt too equational, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it just gets
algorithmic.
Algorithmic, yeah.
It gets bundled up with movies like The Gray Man or Red Notice, because movies that you watch and then just forget entirely.
Right, but anyways, so I don't know if I feel like that's a fair criticism on him as a director or a creator.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
The fact that they like working with the person so much that they want to do it over and over again, I feel like that's a sign of at least a good environment for employees, for fellow filmmakers.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I feel like it's not fair to hate on him just for that reason.
I agree with that.
Deadpool and Wolverine, what do you like about it?
It definitely had a lot of the classic Deadpool quick quips that we've loved. A lot of jokes, a lot of really funny jokes, funny lines, a lot of clever fourth wall breaks. Not all of them. There were some that I was like, okay, but a lot of them I really enjoyed.
In the TVA, the fourth wall break in the TVA where he
when he grabs the camera.
No, I thought that one was funny.
That was brilliant. No, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah.
It's like that one was
Fox. I'm going to Disneyland.
It was the best one.
I was a little worried that this would just be cameo central. There's a lot of cameos.
There are a lot
We're gonna get to some of them, but is this movie just built on how exciting it is to see a cameo type of thing? And it's not just that.
Not just.
But I don't think that's detrimental. To
Yes
the movie.
and no. I think that there is some of that element of like, how many cameos can we fit in here?
Yeah.
But how many cameos can we fit in organically?
Right.
Yeah,
That make a lot of sense.
I think the key is having the cameo not just for the sake of it being a cameo.
I was a teensy worried Tony Stark was going to show up.
Oh, I was too. I was like, oh no. But then
I
when Chris Evans shows up,
Yeah.
I was so excited. I'm like, Captain America.
So was Deadpool.
I know.
He's going to say the thing.
He's gonna say the thing. Avengers.
Flame on!
And it's like,
What?
I died. It was so funny.
Well, what's incredible with that is it almost made it like 2 cameos in one, because
Yes.
first it's Chris Evans. He's been Cap for so
that's why
long.
it
They were
works,
like,
I think.
yeah, Captain America's back.
And then we saw him like put his arm out, and like you could see like red underneath like the wrap.
No, it's
And then like I was like, okay, how are they going to do this? How is he going to look like? Like, what's the suit going to look like?
he's got like this hood. You can't really. It's
And then
blue.
it's, and the whole lead up, it's like it's gonna make every like what was it, like every white man or something like that.
I don't remember.
But
then
it's
he
like-
like falls from the thing.
I
was
thought
like,
he
he's
died.
dead. That's a
He's dead.
funny joke. But
And then he's in the cage.
He's still alive.
He's still alive.
I was like, and I thought it was like quick cameo, kill him immediately. But he was
Nice.
in for another scene, like the next scene still.
do you know how expensive he was?
Do you know how
He was. I don't know what half those words mean. Man, here's the thing. There's so much fan service in this movie.
And for me, fan service in a good way.
There's a lot of good fan service. I think that's a good example of subverting your expectation with the flame on joke.
Because he wasn't the first cameo by any means.
Because it solidifies it that at the end credits, that's the goodbye to the Fox comics, or the Fox comic book movies. Because we see young Chris Evans.
Because they have a lot in the early 2000s. Like I feel like X-Men is like the franchise that lasted them, but
Yeah.
I mean, we saw things about, the Fantastic Four movies, including the newer one that was not good.
Yeah, they're embracing it all.
But then even the early 2000s.
Like, the best part of this movie to me is like how much of it is like, I feel like everyone's gonna say this, it's a love letter to these specific movies, because it's also saying goodbye to the Fox X-Men.
But then also still poking fun at them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. They're they're not immune to being made fun of. Or,
Yeah, because there is definitely a lampooning here.
Oh yeah. Like I said, it doesn't build to the next movie or feel like it's connected to the MCU at all, but it's nice to finally kind of lay to bed like the good and the bad, because it's not just the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies that gave us the current day Marvel.
Which that wasn't even.
No, it's
No, but like
yeah.
when you
But-
talk about
but
how
X-Men was also important.
yeah, how
Oh, yeah,
comic
I mean-
book movies have evolved over the last 2 decades. These movies, even like a lot of them, it's not that they were amazing, but they were a part of building what is now able to exist in a comic book movie.
Yeah.
Building
fact
that world.
Yeah.
you know.
Building it so that it's like they walked so the MCU could run later. Yeah.
Because I remember watching the first X-Men movie when I was, oh gosh,
Yeah, I
like
do too,
5 or
actually.
6, I think.
I could tell you where I was when I watched it.
I can tell you where I was too. I
Like-
I was sitting in my basement, in my parents' basement, watching the movie, and I remember falling asleep like right when they get to the Statue of Liberty, and then ending up in my bed because I didn't finish it. But I remember, I remember it very specifically.
There's kind of this thing with us as kids where it's like our parents were like, yeah, these are comic book movies, of course they're fine to watch, and they
mostly
basically are.
Yeah.
But now it's I think that's why Deadpool as a rated R movie works more than other rated R comic book movies. It's because it's like, yeah, the main audience were kids when the first X-Men movie came out.
Yeah.
Meaning like us.
Yes.
Or at least younger.
These
They can't
these
only
young millennials.
Mm-hmm.
the people who watched it in 2003 are the same ones watching it now, but they're not kids anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been 25 years. Well,
That's not math, right?
20,
Well, but the first
2
one-
years, whatever.
Well, the first one.
24 right
All right, stop it.
But the first X-Men movie came out in, I think, 2000.
Yeah, it was right up there with the first Spider-Man. They
Yeah,
were
because I
both
think
early.
X-Men came out in 2000, and then Spider-Man came out in 2001 or 2002.
I like how they made Wolverine's yellow suit a plot point, which was kind of cool.
Yes.
It's like, why? How come it's been so? Why'd you wait so long to wear the suit?
People
type
have
of
waited
thing.
20 years. People have waited decades. That was the one.
And the special appearance of the cowl, like.
Yes.
I didn't know that was coming. Most people probably didn't. I saw people Photoshop it on his face on the trailers. Like, why didn't they give us this? But they gave it.
But of course we were. I mean, like, why wouldn't they give it to us if we've already got the yellow? Why wouldn't we get the cowl?
Yeah.
That's true. If they were gonna have any of it,
I mean,
do the whole thing.
Absolutely. It's absolutely an all or nothing.
Yeah. So
Then also all of the Wolverine variants that we see.
yeah,
There was cue the montage.
Cue the montage. My favorite one. I got really excited actually to see the brown and the brown and tan. I was like, that's my favorite version.
He's just on a cross on a mound of like bloody skulls. Like, what's going on? Like, what is this?
And now I'm like, I'm gonna have to look
we're going-
that reference up because I'm like,
It's gotta be
everything
a reference.
in there.
I mean, so as someone who loves these movies, but also is not someone who has read the comic books, like I don't know all the versions of these characters. It's still so enjoyable
Yeah, you
to
don't-
universe
yeah.
hop to see all these, and like I at least understand the whole short Wolverine. I know what that's a reference to. I get that
Comic
one.
accurate height Wolverine.
I don't think
little
is
guy.
he really actually that
I
tall?
don't
I don't think he's that
He's supposed to be short, but not.
But the joke is that everyone's like Hugh Jackman's way too tall. to be
Yeah,
Wolverine.
Which that is true because Hugh Jackman's
'Cause
like
in the
what,
comics.
6'2",
Yes,
6'3",
something like that. And then we got Hulk. I mean, I don't want to just seem like I like this because of the little fun cameos.
Yeah.
But we do get Chris Evans, we got the Hulk, we get Thor.
And it's a
Wait.
Yeah.
Was that Chris Hemsworth or was it his
100%.
brother? I thought it was his brother
Okay.
who plays him in.
You're right. There's a Dean Soup, but it wasn't Chris Evans. Chris Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth, yeah. I wasn't sure because it shows him on the screen.
That is
Why
the
is Thor crying?
That is the funniest running gag.
And
though.
I think that it wasn't Chris Hemsworth. I think it was his brother who plays the actor Thor in
Oh,
Ragnarok.
yeah.
You know, when it's him and Matt Damon playing Thor and Loki in the play.
It's hard to tell the Hemsworths
It's hard to tell. They
besides
look
Luke.
alike, but looking at him, I was like, I don't think that's
And it's-
actually Chris Hemsworth. I think it's his brother.
There's a chance. Yeah.
There's a chance. We could confirm later. We'll look it up for sure. Someone
Okay,
will
so
probably know.
Logan probably knows this. I thought they were gonna go full old man Logan with his origin because he's like, there's a reason he has the suit. There's a reason he's so upset and drunk and stuff.
Yeah, well, I don't know a whole lot about Old Man Logan, to be honest. That's a comic that I need to pick up. But what I do know is that the movie Logan has more basis in Old Man Logan than this version. I mean, there was still some of that parallel, but it's not quite as. I think that the movie Logan is a little more overt.
I think it's just more inspired by because
I
Old Man
think,
Logan
yeah.
is just literally he's sworn to never use his claws again because of a horrible thing. Like, are they gonna do it? Are they going to do it? But it's not exactly.
Not quite
Not
there.
exactly.
And actually, the first time that we ever see Wolverine is not in an X-Men comic.
Oh, really?
It's I don't remember which comic it was, but it was in the Incredible Hulk.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Fun fact: I've actually held the very first appearance of Wolverine in my hands, which was an Incredible Hulk comic where Wolverine is hunting the Hulk.
Oh, cool.
He was originally intended to be a
the bad guy.
like an enemy of the Hulk.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it wasn't until I think the 80s that they brought him into the X-Men.
Yeah.
And so that's where that famous rivalry comes from.
It's cool that there was a nod to it. Logan, you had a funny you had a funny... Well, not even funny. I think it's an accurate reading of that
for
scene
sure.
when they're fighting in the Odyssey.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was equally violent and sexual.
Yeah. I think it definitely was.
Yeah, and there was something so, like, hysterical and cathartic.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, the thing
about the
is,
whole thing.
Wolverine genuinely got under Deadpool's skin. And you have to, I guess, with this movie, as it is by itself, you need to buy that Deadpool is in that spot that he wants to be with his friends. And I think maybe that might be a weak point where, like, does Deadpool care about all these people, like, genuinely? Because he does love... What's his
Vanessa.
Vanessa.
Mm-hmm.
He loves Vanessa.
And he does care...
And Peter.
yeah, for Peter and Dopender. And like, I guess you just have to buy in based on, like, Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2. Like, this is what he actually genuinely wants.
Although I have to say, I should have rewatched Deadpool 2 because it has been a while for me, but the group that is at the beginning at his surprise party, I only recognized like half of those people. Yeah. I don't even remember all of his friends.
Because the funny thing about X-Force, like, there's the one, well, I don't even know what his name is, the one that gets chopped up by the helicopter. He's at the party in this movie. But Terry Crews, he's famous. Then there's
Terry Crews.
the guy that spits acid.
Yeah, the guy.
He's a Skarsgård.
I mean, he's the one that plays
he plays
Pennywise.
Ed. Yeah, Pennywise.
Yeah, and then of course Brad Pitt.
And Brad Pitt, which is
the
funniest one because he's invisible until he dies.
You know, they paid him with, like, I heard that they paid him with, like, a cup of coffee.
Oh, really? He had to be there for one day, you know.
Yeah.
But if you do buy into that's like Deadpool is genuine and it does work and it makes sense, then that fight is, I guess.
Well, the premise works better.
Yeah, exactly.
The premise of the movie works better.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we were talking about Jennifer Garner.
Okay.
Because I was saying, like, I didn't recognize her at first. I didn't know any cameos, actually. Just, like, I didn't even know rumors. I avoided that kind of information because I didn't want to know, even if it was just a rumor.
Yeah.
I knew the some of the cameos that were coming.
What'd you know? Which ones did
I knew about?
Like,
I mean,
like
the ones in the
confirmed?
trailer. Yeah, the ones in the trailer, of course. But then I saw a few things on like Instagram. But for the most part, I tried to stay away from all that.
I was trying my best.
I didn't have to try very
But
much.
Neither did I.
So I guess but I forgot about Jennifer Garner. But I remember when that movie came out, I like asking like my mom if I can go see it in theaters with. Were you there? Did you see it with us?
No, I wasn't.
You're
I think
talking
it was
about
like
Elektra.
Elektra.
Because Elektra was in the
She was
Daredevil
in Daredevil,
movie.
but then she got her own.
Yeah, and I remember my mom basically saying, well, you know, I guess Wonder Woman didn't wear the most appropriate outfit. I guess it makes sense for a comic book character because not that her
It
outfits.
never made sense. It does not make sense.
No.
That's not this podcast.
But I just remember that happening when I was fairly young when Elektra came out.
It came out in 2005. I just checked some of these, so I
thank
knew.
you.
So you're welcome.
Our resident fact checker here. It's appreciated.
But then,
but I didn't. I didn't watch like the Daredevil movie or Elektra until much later.
What about the Blade movies?
Those have still been on my list.
Oh, you still haven't seen them?
I still haven't seen them, and I just kind of keep forgetting about them. And you know what? Now that I think about it, was it Ryan? Was it Ryan Reynolds?
He's in Blade 3. Yeah.
That's like historically like.
It's not great.
Wesley Snipes was supposed to be like an absolute nightmare to work with in that movie.
Did you catch any references to him being in a Blade movie with Blade in this movie?
I didn't.
I wish they would have done something.
They should have said something.
They likely. I haven't seen the Blade movies. Actually, to be honest, I haven't seen any of these movies.
You didn't? Okay, that's
I
fair.
haven't seen Elektra. I haven't seen Daredevil.
Maybe we need to go back and watch these movies.
Maybe. But I do know. I know that they're not the best, but you can't really entirely hold them up to today's standards.
Yeah, I don't love Blade, but I know a lot of people love the first two at least.
But it took me. But I knew Jennifer Garner with Elektra, but I didn't recognize her at first when she first appeared in this movie.
She looked really buff.
And then Wesley Snipes, I was like, I think he's Blade. I haven't seen Blade.
What's cool, like, he has the great line, like, there's only ever been one Blade. Which Punisher? There's been 5. They've already, because, did you see Eternals?
I saw Eternals. In fact, that's my first thought when I saw Elektra in this movie was like, was she in Eternals? Is that the girl? Wasn't she someone in Eternals? Because she kind of had that look. And then I was like, oh, never mind. That's Jennifer Garner. She's Elektra. I caught on.
At the end of Eternals, the post-credits scene, you hear a sword, and it's like, oh, Blade. And they've announced a Blade movie, but now a second director has walked away. Because they haven't been able to crack it yet. They haven't been able to get the story or whatever. But, okay, so Christy, you were confused with the Channing Tatum cameo.
Well, yeah, I didn't know the whole thing. I had leaned over to Ryan and whispered, like, I don't know what's happening. Because Channing Tatum, it goes...
Did you recognize that it was Channing Tatum?
I did see it was Channing Tatum, but I was like, I don't know who he's supposed to be. Because Jennifer Garner comes on, and then Wesley Snipes goes on, and then Channing Tatum comes on, and he looks ridiculous.
Who's your dialect coach? The Minions?
So
I'm sorry, I haven't watched Sling Blade in a while.
But that was one thing I had to lean over and ask, because people were reacting, and I was like, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah. And see, did you see the Flash movie?
I did.
So in Flash, there's a cameo, in quotes, of Nicolas Cage as Superman, because they were going to make a Nicolas Cage as Superman movie with Tim Burton and stuff. So it's like, if you're an internet nerd, I guess, or just like, oh, this is a reference to a specific amount of people. And that's kind of what this was, too. If you didn't know Channing Tatum was going to be Gambit and stuff, except for this one plays out because even if you didn't know, it's like, oh, Channing Tatum, Gambit, you might know Gambit from the cartoon.
See, it
still works out.
I didn't even know who Gambit was, but, I mean, you did briefly whisper to me, like, he was supposed to be Gambit, but it never got made. And so, but then, like, he was so hammy in it anyway that it's still enjoyable. Like, I feel like even if you don't know who Gambit is or know the backstory of Channing Tatum as that part, it's still funny. Like, it's still good.
It worked really well.
It still works, yeah.
Do you think, I don't know the actress's name who plays X-23. Do you think she's going to become one of, like, the Avengers? Like,
well, this is still in a different universe.
Is it, though?
Yes.
But
he talked to Happy Hogan.
He did talk to another cameo, Jon Favreau.
But that was in 2018. But I think it said it was that happened in 2018 when Deadpool had Cable's multiverse. And
is that the implication? Is that okay? Because I was asking Ryan this because at the beginning I was a little confused because I couldn't remember a few details at the end of Deadpool 2. I know that he took Cable's thing and went back in time and changed some stuff. I couldn't remember for sure about bringing his girlfriend back. But it starts in timeline universe 616, and he's applying to be an Avenger, talking to Happy, and then it jumps to universe 10005 something. I think that's what it is.
That's what it is.
And at first I thought it was supposed to be a different Deadpool in a different universe.
Oh, I just thought... Is
that what it's supposed to be while he was doing stuff with Cable's little gadget? Is that what it's supposed to be?
Yes.
Maybe, but
that's how it seemed to me.
I also don't think it matters.
It doesn't matter.
Because technically, Logan Wolverine is different than the Wolverine from the other X-Men movies.
That's also true.
So, it's kind of just one
but
thing
then,
in a way.
It's true, but then also, the girl is in the... Oh, actually, she was in the Void place.
Yeah. But also, it wouldn't make sense, though, because eventually Vanessa says to Wade... after the whole, I don't remember if she said Avengers thing, but after that whole thing, you decided to take a knee,
and you never
got back up. So why would this Deadpool take a knee?
No, it's the same Deadpool.
So okay, so we're on the same page.
The only reason it does matter is if it's confusing, which it was to me at the start, but I figured it out. I was like, never mind. It's not two universes Deadpools, it's just the one. They didn't explain in this movie how he got from one timeline to the other and then back, but it's fine. It didn't ruin anything for the movie for me.
Yeah. But I can see how that is confusing. Mm-hmm. Because I caught up with it really quickly, but I understand.
I think they did kind of try to explain it because they do show very, very quickly a rush of the stuff he goes, like you see him kill himself before he can be Green Lantern, like at the end of Deadpool 2. Like they show a few like rushed clips of that, and I think that's them trying to explain it. I just missed it. I just didn't catch on that that's what they were saying. So, but I figured it, like I caught on. It's not like I was lost the whole movie. I did finally realize, like, oh, never mind. Same one. Okay.
Anyway, it's a lot of fun, a lot of fan service, which I think might not work for people. And I think near the end, I was kind of feeling like Deadpool steps away from the focal point for a while. It felt like kind of took a back seat in his own movie, which, it's what else. But I think my biggest issue I am looking at is they like address this is Wolverine versus Deadpool, like brace yourself nerds, and it's awesome, it's fun. Then they fight again in the van, but then it just feels like the movie literally stops to say, let's watch a action scene just for the sake of, I guess, spectacle. Let's watch this new team of Elektra Blade and Gambit fighting.
X-23.
And then let's watch Wolverine and Deadpool kill a bunch of Wolverines. And like
kill a bunch of Deadpools.
Yeah, kill a bunch of Deadpools and stuff. And it's fun, but to me it feels like let's stop the movie just to do this bit of
I see where you're coming
service,
from.
I guess.
I get where you're coming from on that.
Yeah. I
definitely agree that there was definitely a part where Deadpool stopped being the focal point of his own film. I mean, it was during that fight, Deadpool and Wolverine aren't really a part of it. They're showing mostly the other four fighting as they like go up to get the main helmet thing. That was definitely like more fan servicey, and it was less comedy, which is like a big part of Deadpool's movies. Is even the action is very much comedy.
Yeah.
And then,
but we did start seeing that again when Deadpool and Wolverine were fighting off the Deadpools.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so when
there were some funny kills.
When they get up there, the bad guy whose name I don't remember,
Cassandra Nova.
Sure, Cassandra Nova. She like knocks Deadpool out, and he's out for a while in that scene. That scene is like he's not
where you see.
Yeah. It's not even like you're seeing it through his eyes or like his perspective, anything like that. He's over there somewhere, and we're supposed to forget about him until he comes back later.
Which is a little weird because generally we see things through Deadpool's eyes in these movies, and now all of a sudden we're supposed to be this outside observer.
Well, I don't know. The movie is also like Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, it is both.
He needs his fair share, and
but I definitely, there was a point towards the third act where I also, though, did notice, like, we haven't really had a lot of Deadpool in a while.
I know, that's where it's like...
That's where I noticed
it
became too noticeable.
Is his drive strong enough to hold on to even this? But then again, here's the thing. If you want to go see Deadpool and Wolverine being Deadpool and Wolverine, this movie's going to give it to you.
And really see... probably the most comic accurate Wolverine we've ever gotten.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of movement, in terms of fighting style, I mean, it's in terms of attitude, like it's a really comic accurate Wolverine.
The comedy, there was a lot of solid comedy moments.
I do wonder, because Jason, he doesn't watch rated R movies. He doesn't watch PG-13 movies unedited. I wonder how many people are going to watch this that maybe don't usually watch movies like this. Like the gratuitous violence and language.
I'm raising my hand.
Yeah, they can't see that.
I know, that's why I told them. Anyway, but yeah, no, I don't usually watch a lot of gratuitous violence, but the Deadpool movies are an exception because they are funny and I think they're clever.
Yeah,
for the most part.
I think the most violent. Well, there's some violent things, but like the opening sequence when he's killing all those people, but it's juxtaposed to him dancing Backstreet Boys.
Yes.
NSYNC. Excuse me.
Thank you.
And
thank you for the correction.
It kind of offsets how violent it is.
No, we wouldn't have.
Well, who even... Yeah, you're right.
I'm just kidding.
because you know
The NSYNC
I
fangirls.
loved the opening sequence.
I thought it was so funny.
I mean,
And
the opening sequences
classic.
for all 3 Deadpool movies have been like, I've liked all of them, and because they're similar, but also they're not just like the same thing over and over.
I mean, and they're clever. They're interesting.
They're clever.
Which I think speaks to the ability of the director.
in this case, Sean Levy.
They've all 3 had different directors, so that
Really?
tells you something. Him, just opening with him saying, "I bet you're wondering how are we going to honor the ending of Logan in our movie?" Well, we're not.
We're not.
And then he takes off Logan's body, and then he uses it. He's like, "Put down your weapons. I'm not going to give up my weapons, but I promise I won't use them." And then he kills a bunch of people using Logan's dead bones.
Yeah. Adamantium laced bones.
That is funny,
Set to NSYNC Bye Bye Bye, and some
gosh.
of the shots were just him dancing to it.
Yeah,
Well,
just
doing
doing
the dance.
Yeah.
The dance. The dance that you recognize when you think of that song.
from my childhood.
So, is there a deep meaning to Deadpool and Wolverine?
I have a thought on this.
Okay, go for it.
Because it is strongly, very obviously actually, set up in the scene early on where he is applying to be an Avenger.
Oh yeah, okay.
And it's not going well, and Happy goes, "See, you just said that you want to be an Avenger because you need this, but the Avengers are the Avengers because people need them." And I was like, there it is. There's the beginning of this arc that we're supposed to follow through this movie.
And it literally says, like, it tells you at the end.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Like the ending of that.
Yeah.
Well, and then the movie keeps coming back to it with "You don't matter." He wants to matter.
That's what's her face? What's her
Cassandra.
name? Cassandra Nova. That's how she attacked Deadpool, his mind.
Cassandra then came back by saying, but she thought it.
I also kind of the other thing I really appreciate, once again, it's the movie is telling it to us, but the leader of the TVA, she's like, "Hey, can you fix his past?" And she's like, "Because of his past, it made him who he is now, and we can't take that away," type of thing.
Yeah, there's nothing to fix.
Yeah, and because in real life, you can't fix things like that. You can't fix it when someone dies or when something horrible happens to you. You can't change the fact that it did happen to you.
Can I allude to an episode of your podcast?
Yeah.
When Dietz had a big problem with the time travel in Endgame because it doesn't contain a version of the grandfather paradox.
Yeah.
To me, that's what she was answering. Yes, the past made him who he is, but also, I don't think she could go back and fix his past. Wouldn't that be the grandfather paradox?
Probably.
Dietz would hate this movie, by the way.
Yeah, Dietz
I
would hate this
absolutely
movie.
had that thought as I was watching it.
A good action scene is its own little movie with rising action, climax, falling action, denouement type of thing. A good action scene propels the story as the action's happening, basically. Except, a series that Jason famously hates is the John Wick movies. And I think you can but in John Wick, isn't that what happens? There's a scene where he has to kill 10, 50 people or whatever. But my argument's always been, but it's like a ballet. You go to the ballet, the music, the story is, the swan is whatever, but the song goes on for so long, and the dance is the story type of thing. That's like the violence in John Wick. And in this movie, I don't know if I felt like that is an excuse to accept, but
well, yeah, I mean, I definitely see that argument. I think it doesn't apply to the argument in the Honda Odyssey, because that fight was actually propelling the story forward, but hilariously.
But for me, the action scenes didn't stop the movie. I mean, I can see where you're coming from, as I said earlier, with the fan service characters, but it still was leading to. It was still pushing the movie forward because they had to do something to distract Cassandra.
Right, yeah, there was a plot.
I mean, yeah.
There's at least a plot point there.
They all did that. I mean, there was... I would agree with Ryan that there were some pacing issues on some of those fight scenes, though, in terms of how the story was moving along.
Okay, I can get the pacing issues, yeah.
Deadpool actually, like, he says to the audience, like, doesn't he say something like, we're almost done, don't worry?
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. We're in the home stretch.
Oh, yeah.
In case you were scared that all of this has gone on too... We've dragged it on too long. It's almost over.
I also wonder, I had this thought, because the joke is he's Marvel Jesus, or MJ, whatever. But is it maybe directly alluding to Jesus, though, because he dies and gets resurrected at the end?
Oh, absolutely.
And
I think that was 100% intentional.
Like,
He
I
didn't
was
get
like...
resurrected, he just didn't die. But
Well, you know what I mean. Like,
they were told, like, one of you will have to do this, pull these atoms, apparently, hold them, but it'll annihilate you. You won't survive it. But then they do it together, so, like, he was supposed to be Marvel Jesus, as in he was supposed to be the one to sacrifice himself. But the fact that they, yeah, of course. No part of me thought that either of them were going to die at the end of this movie. But I think the point is that they sacrificed together.
Yeah.
And, like, both of them together were the ones to save the universe.
That's like the ultimate message is you need people, or people can give you meaning. It's a Wonderful Life. That's like the ultimate thing. It's like, if you have friends, you're not poor type of thing.
Yeah.
And that's, Deadpool's kind of learning that, or Wolverine really needed to learn that lesson, I guess.
Deadpool, this isn't his first time teaming up. In fact, they reference the fact that it's like, Wolverine tries to use it against him. Like, he's tried to team up before, and it's never worked out. He's tried to team up with the X-Men, and it didn't work out. He tried to team up with create the X-Force.
And they died.
They all died. Immediately, and he's like,
what killed them? Well, technically gravity.
It wasn't subtle to me. It's in its message, but it didn't kill the story in any way.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I don't think there's any subtlety in
Deadpool
to begin with.
And
That's a good
fine.
point.
Exactly. It's the type of movie where there doesn't need to be any subtlety, and it will wink to the audience about it to be like, yeah, this is the message. This is what I'm telling you.
You could say the dessert of the real when Wolverine drinks the...
Shawarma.
Oh, wait, that's the best one. That's way better than drinking the...
Drinking the beer?
No, he drinks...
The hand sanitizer.
Hand
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get some shawarma. Did you know the Avengers invented shawarma? I'm pretty sure we're the ones that were laughing at that joke.
I think we were, and I thought it was one of the strongest jokes, actually. Because at the very end, after everything else, it's literally the resolution of the movie. It's like, everything else is resolved. They're like, want to get shawarma? I could eat. To be fair, I don't think I'd ever heard of shawarma before the
I
Avengers.
didn't.
They did invent shawarma.
And then I worked in college. In my bachelor's, I worked at a place for a little while that served shawarma.
Yeah, how is it?
I loved it. It was awesome.
Gotta get some shawarma. I like the intent of the message of needing people. I also like how, and I feel like this will be said a lot about this movie, just a love letter to comic book fans. But I think specifically the X-Men movies, how, like, maybe not all of them were great, but, it got us here type of thing. It's recognizing the good and the bad.
Yeah, just in general, like the non-Marvel MCU ones, the other ones, the ones that came first.
Felt nice.
It did feel nice. I mean, playing "Time of Your Life" by Green Day with the montage of it's funny because it's like such a cliche way to do it. Yeah. But it's also like genuinely good, like genuinely heartfelt to see all of their filmmaking memories. They're showing all the behind the scenes stuff and
like Hugh Jackman
felt like bad high school, like.
But still good.
Yeah, but in a good way.
Yeah. I know that was what they're going for, like almost cliche. But in a cliche enough for it to be funny.
Yeah, it comes around full circle to not be cliche anymore.
It's like I laughed when it started, and then I was like, "Oh, this is really sweet,
really touching."
Yeah. So.
Anyway, any other final thoughts?
I really, as I said at the beginning of this episode, I really enjoyed this movie. Is it my favorite MCU movie? No, but anyway, I really enjoyed it. It was a solid I'd give it like a solid B.
Yeah. I think I can see why some critics will hate it with a passion.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm also like, but it made me happy. It made me laugh.
Yeah.
It gave me a good time.
And ultimately, isn't that what film is supposed to do? I mean, it's supposed to transport you to another world and into something else that we don't experience in life.
To me, thinking critically about movies means finding deeper meaning in them. Like,
Yeah.
that's the thing. I feel like it's not... Thinking critically isn't being critical. It's just delving more deeply into the media, film, into film, into anything that you apply it to. Because...
And there's a difference between, like, being the critic...
Oh, I see. Like,
or
where your mindset is.
Where your mindset is. It's like, because if I'm going to be the critic, then eventually I'm going to stop enjoying movies.
Yeah.
But if I'm willing to critique movies, then I can find a deeper appreciation for film.
Yeah.
It's also, but it's like, even at the other end of the spectrum, like, you've now made your co-host Jason Dietz watch all these movies, a lot of which he has genuinely not liked.
Yeah.
But
he can't deny there are a few that were good.
But even the ones that he hasn't liked, he can find good things about them. Mm-hmm. And bare minimum be able to say, I understand why other people like these movies.
Yeah. And anyway, good times were had. At the very least, we'll have this memory forever.
It'll always be on Apple Podcasts.
Well, this is...
or Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us and share.
I think you were talking about the memory of seeing Deadpool
with friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris Evans is pretty good in this movie.
Chris Evans is so good in this movie.
This has mostly been just kind of just trying to accumulate our thoughts of a movie we just saw. I think if we had more time, we'd have more things to say, maybe more deeper things, but
it's also late.
It is late.
Yeah, it's 11 o'clock right
go to
now.
Bed.
I'm going to go to bed too. I'm
getting too tired to keep thinking about this.
Anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to us talk, and
thank you for letting me be on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna get you on another episode too.
Oh yeah,
we'll be back with our regular scheduled program after this,
and we're back.
And we love you. Bye.
Bye.